So let's start now.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I am your host, Jerome, and welcome to another Positive the Series experience. I say experience because this would happen to be my inaugural episode being done in Zoom format. So bear with me. I want to also welcome the gentleman who was my very first interview subject, PJ Gouldman. PJ, say hello.
Hello.
And to Miss Joan Garrity, who is one of my positive allies. Joan, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what you do, because you do so much for the community.
Well, I don't know if you want to know anything about how I got connected.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I was working in women's reproductive health forever, starting in the late 60s. And I remember the day I was in Pittsburgh doing a training, and the little article in the Pittsburgh Gazette was the first newspaper review of what had been printed in the MMWR about what they had seen on the West Coast and in New York City, San Francisco, and New York. And I'm a very lucky person in that I was raised with a mother who welcomed and loved all kinds of people, everybody. And I was angry because I thought, why are they saying this is just gay men getting this disease? And they're thinking it's something wrong with gay men. And I remember, that's right, they always blame everything on gay men. Gay men are doing something wrong. And
we're an abomination, you know. It serves us right, you know. Wow.
So I was the director of counseling at Planned Parenthood in Maryland, and we needed to start doing testing.
Yes.
When the test first came out, 85.
Mm-hmm.
And I developed training to be able to support people in doing that testing. So that was how I became connected. And I've been really involved in the community ever since in a lot of different ways.
Yes. Well, I think that you and I, we've spent some time together when I went to visit and interview Marilyn Burnett. And that's where you and I really got connected, and we recognized a lot of the other areas in which we have connection. You are quite a fascinating woman, and your heart is so open to all people, no matter the race, the creed, the color, the socioeconomic status. You really are just an amazing spirit. You really are. And I'm very thankful to have you in my circle. You know, as a matter of fact, it's because of you that I was able to kind of take this next step in moving forward and being open to doing this Zoom experience, because I didn't realize that, like today, what we're going to talk about is social isolation. But with that, I didn't realize that what I've been going through was really symptomatic of PTSD, but not so much the post, because I had literally just come through it all, and you called it persistent stress traumatic syndrome, correct?
Yes. Persistent traumatic stress disorder. Yep.
Yes. And
yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I think that's true there's a lot of trauma associated with what's going on with the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
But Jerome, you've had a lot of other trauma with the things with the surgeries, and we've come pretty close to losing you a bunch of times.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I'm very fortunate to still be here.
Yes, you are. So are we. We're very fortunate that you're still here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You know, this is not without being a part of its purpose for me being here. I truly believe. I truly believe that me being able to have this platform with you guys and sharing my story and sharing my testimony, turning my test into a testimony, that's part of the purpose that that I've been able to stay here and share this experience.
Well, goodness knows I've learned so much from you, when learning about you and understanding more of your heart and what you've done. And, you know, you've gone from Hollywood and incredible success there
Yes.
to really low places.
Really low places, yeah.
Really.
And it's humbling. It's a very humbling experience to know what you once had at your fingertips and to see it all slip away so easily. But the beautiful thing for me has been learning that I really haven't lost any of it. I've been able to arrive back at mentors who are still very much a part of the industry, very successful in the industry, who stand beside me, who work with me behind the scenes on this show, people who have been able to contribute and support me financially in some respects with respect to the production equipment. And, you know, so I'm very, very blessed, and I haven't lost anything, really. I think if anything, I've gained the perspective of being accountable and holding account to all of the blessings that I've been able to earn and have acquired, and to not take it for granted. That's most important. You don't take it for granted, because as quickly as it comes, it can go. So you have to appreciate it every second of every day. You have to.
Well, your attitude and PJ's attitude are inspirations to me. I always feel like being involved in the world of HIV and the world of people whose lives have been challenged in a lot of different ways, that I'm the selfish one because I get so much inspiration and hope and opportunities to reflect on what I have and what I often take for granted. So one thing I know for sure is I don't deserve any honor for being connected the way I am. I don't understand why we aren't all connected this way.
Well, speaking of being connected in this way, I think that, you know, one of the things that that PJ and I arrived at in creating the idea for this particular episode just speaks to social isolation. You know, PJ and I often communicate on the regular just about, goodness knows, it's another day. What's today? What day of the week is it? You know, they just sort of meld together, being in this bubble. I've been in this room, in this house since last March, you know, with very few people being able to penetrate the bubble. I've experienced recent loss of one of my closest friends and caregivers up and moving a few weeks ago. And you want to talk about gobsmacked? My head's still spinning on that one, but we're not gonna get too much into it because I don't want to make him feel any more guilty than he already does. And you know who you are.
And we know who he is too.
Yes, we all know who he is. But PJ, talk a little bit about where you are in terms of your experience with this whole COVID and the self-imposed isolation that you've been experiencing.
Thank you, Jerome. I have been in a holding pattern since March the 15th of last year. I go out twice a month to go food shopping. Other than that, I go nowhere. I don't entertain. I don't visit, except to cut your hair.
Yes, yes, because you are one of the members in the bubble.
Yes,
Yes,
and thank you for that.
and thank you.
But I find it difficult to relate, even on Zoom. It's somewhat
Yeah,
of a blockage, if you will, to interaction. I get to see you, but it's not really in your presence.
right.
This is virtually in your presence, so it's the best that I can do under the circumstances. I have successfully maintained a relationship with the Planning Council that I've been involved with for 24 years. That was something I started very early on in my HIV career.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the single largest thing responsible for my mental stability. It keeps me active, it keeps me interactive with others in the HIV community. Though we meet only twice a month, sometimes 3 times a month, it is enough to keep me occupied and keep me connected to the community of the larger community. So while I miss the interaction in person, I am grateful that I have another means with which I can stay connected.
And that is important, you know, and I'll speak to that as well with respect to my experience with Zoom. I only really utilize Zoom for 2 things for certain, and that is Bible study on Wednesday and church service on Sunday. Oh, and also I use Zoom to connect with my mother, who is presently in nursing home care. And that's a whole other, the red button. That's a whole other ball of wax, because that has really made life very difficult for me, watching my mother's decline in her mental status and not being able to be next to her and having to assume certain financial responsibilities and obligations for her that honestly I can't even really afford, but you know, what else can you do? It's made a tough experience even tougher. And so I've not wanted to come on and cry and bemoan my situation or circumstance, because everybody's got problems. Everybody's got something going on. And the whole point and purpose for my series is to let people know that through the most difficult of circumstances, the toughest of situations, we can, with just a little bit of faith, tenacity, and I guess stick-to-itiveness, we can get through it. We can get through it. And once in a while, even with a smile, you know. But I will say that it's no coincidence that I've been using Zoom for church and spiritual connectivity, because my connectedness to my higher power is really what derives my sustenance and my sustainability with respect to this illness, with respect to this pandemic, and with respect just to being able to get up every day and wash my ass and brush my teeth, which, you know, for a while there wasn't happening on a daily. You know, it really wasn't. You know, but thankfully that's happening now. So, you know, I'm trying to arrive at some sort of a normalcy pattern again. And that's all we can ask for, I think. That's all we can ask for, given the circumstance.
That's true. You have been an inspiration, having tackled all that you have, given your physical condition and the in and out of the hospital and everything, you have maintained a positive outlook for the most part. You have your moments where you dive
because
down
we
into
talk.
self-doubt.
Yes,
But
and we
for the
talk about
most part, you have been very positive, and I applaud you for undertaking this venture as long as you have, and I'm happy to see it reinvigorated.
Yeah.
Well, PJ, thank goodness he has his moments, because otherwise we wouldn't be sure he was human.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, I'm human. I'm human. Believe me, I've had some dark moments, you know, and that's sort of why I said, well, I can't get on this show and pretend to be positive when I'm feeling like at the lowest point of despair. But even at those moments, there was still something in me. There was still the flicker of the flame that was like, you know what, this is only temporary, you know? And so what I started doing is, like with my mom and in the situations that I'm going through with her, when the overwhelming emotion of sadness and grief come over me with her, I give myself an in and an out point. I say, okay, well, it's Wednesday. I'm going to give myself till Friday. And then Friday, I'm going to get back on the grind. I'm going to get back on my schedule. I give myself an in and an out. And that way I can wallow. I can eat the ice cream. I can listen to Adele. I can do all that, you know, cry a river. But then Friday, I got to get up because guess what? I still have to deal with her medical reports. I still have to talk to all her social workers. I still have to figure out what the next steps are. I still have to make sure that we're getting all of her paperwork and her reports and things to the right places, and that my brother and I are meeting on a weekly basis to split responsibilities. And it's a lot. And those things can't end just because I'm upset, you know? They just can't. They couldn't end just because I was in the hospital. And now that I've been out of the hospital for over a year now, you know, but I do want to talk about that real quick. You know, isn't it just ironic that I would come out of the hospital just in time for 2020. I had all of these things on the docket, speaking engagements and shows and things that would actually derive some income, some revenue. And then COVID happens. Isn't that just a kick in the pants? But
The universe evidently thought that all of us needed some lessons.
all of us needed some lessons. And, you know, for me, I guess one of the lessons is that perhaps I needed more time to just rest, you know, because my body still is undergoing some transition, some change. I do still require an additional surgery, a revision of the knee, but that can't happen until the COVID rules relax a bit. I haven't really talked about that on this show, but that is coming, you know, to pass at some point, maybe this spring or summer, I'm not sure, whenever the doctor calls. But we're running out. Okay. It looks as though I'm coming to the end of the first session. However, what I would love to do, because this is really good and I feel like we're just scratching the surface, I'd like to invite you guys back again soon, like in another day or two, or maybe even this evening. Not this evening because we've got a lot to do, and my new assistant has a lot to show me, because when he's not here, I need to know exactly how to make all these gadgets work again, because I swear my bedroom is like, it's like Channel 13. It's really cool. So I cannot thank Odin enough for joining the team. And so one of these days, you know, hopefully the show will be generating some revenue and we can actually give them a check. But in the meantime, a good home cooked meal for my aunt will have to suffice. Well, that being said,
Well, PJ didn't get to say that.
PJ, do you have any final thoughts or words that you'd like to?
Good until we get to doing this again. I'm very pleased to have been a part of this first foray back into Positive the series.
Yeah,
And
I'm
I
glad
look
you
forward
did
to
this.
the next time.
Thank you. I really appreciate you for helping me to kind of just, I guess, pop my cherry, so to speak, with this whole Zoom on Positive experience. It's nice. You know, it's not the same as sitting side by side, being able to hold each other's hands, but we'll get to do that soon, Joan.
Yes.
You know, I need a kiss. Mwah. Well, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. And until next time, I'm Jerome, your host, and you've enjoyed an episode of Positive the Experience. Thank you so much.